Castlevania Season 4 just dropped, and if you're late to the party, this is without a doubt one of the best video game adaptations like ever. But ILoveKimPossibleAlot, you say? Well, you didn't probably say it out loud because it sounds stupid. It's stupid, yeah, I know. What makes Castlevania good? How do we develop characters that are in the public domain that most people already have a perception of? Well, that's where tools of character development and inference can come into play. You can skip to this timestamp here for a review of just the last season, or here if you want to watch a funny recap of the series that I do, in case you're late to the party and not sure if you want to watch the whole series, which I recommend. It's really good. How do you make Dracula serious and menacing when you also have current media like Hotel Transylvania coexisting? Remember, the franchise exists on a polar opposite spectrum of depicting Dracula.
I don't say blah blah blah.
Hotel Transylvania depicts him as a friendly, misunderstood family man, while in Castlevania, he violently kills everyone, including children. Disney does this all the time because they use the public's general knowledge of public domain characters to lure you into a sense of expectations and familiarity. Psychologically, we like what we're already familiar with, and Disney knows that, to the point where they're baking on it twice with these remakes. So when films use public domain characters, they are hoping that the public's knowledge of them will give them an advantage in comparison for using original characters. Well, besides all the adult themes in Castlevania, like the blood and the boobs, is to show that Dracula isn't a nice guy by this establishing shot alone. Look at all the skeletons of people he murdered. Yep, nice guy. Other examples of this throughout the series where Dracula brutally kills innocent victims, including children, like I said. This is great stuff. The plot of Castlevania is kind of like Beauty and the Beast. There's a girl that winds up in this big castle far away, spending time with a perceived monster. There's like some scenes in filler where they grow closer and have cute moments of clarity. They sing songs sometimes.
New and potentially harming. Who'd have ever thought that this could be true? He hates humanity, but maybe he'll slow down for some hot ass, I guarantee. I've come to see your perfect immortal vampire dick.
Great. And then everything turns to shit. Lucy is violently burned on the stake, and Dracula's like, okay, that's it, we're killing you guys, I'm done.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets!
I guess he didn't hear Lucy's plea to not do anything. It's commented in the media itself that this might have been kind of extreme. Like, if a dog shits in the house and ruins my carpet, do I want to kill all the dogs? Hell, Chewy, my dog, destroyed my childhood Barney, and I was pretty mad.
Here lies Barney.
So that's the general setup. Enter alcoholic Shrek, who's a Belmont, and despite his grumpy demeanor, has a nice heart. He saves this old guy from the mean church. Oh, speaking of that, the show has a very prominent, the church is bad because it abuses its power, because it overgeneralizes and has an absolute presence of justice and is kind of like Hunchback. This judge guy gives off some serious Frollo vibes, just without the creepy hair smelling and all that lust. Another thing to note is that the religious themes are taken as literal here. There is a literal hell, literal demons, holy water works, demons can't enter churches except when you fuck up all the religiously stuff.
Who cannot enter the house of God? God is not here. I have done his bidding. My life's work is in his name. Your life's work makes him puke.
So the grumpy guy is then tasked to look for not previously disclosed hot granddaughter, the ever-positive Sypha, who wants to look for the secret savior under the city. Surprisingly, she can handle Trevor pretty well, and they both agree to look for a magical vampire man.
I'm an
Belmont.
Grab your torch and pitchforks. Doesn't that bother you?
Nope.
Oh.
Man, I like you.
Eventually, they come across this guy.
Kung Fu Action Jesus! He's fighting the bad guys and making them pay. With magic Kung Fu, he'll save the day. It's Kung Fu Action Jesus!
Meanwhile, in Dracula's castle, Dracula wants to kill all the humans, but not really a solid organizational plan on how to do it. The generals, who are kind of confused about his plan because of some inconsistencies about how they're going to treat the humans. He tells Hector, the Forge Master, that he will keep them in pins, so others are under the impression that he's just going to have a humanless world. Speaking of almighty Dracula, how Dracula becomes the king of the vampires and gain the respect of those foreign vampires, that would be a good spin-off. Take notes, Netflix. These perspectives, coupled with the fact that Carmilla, the top bitch vampire, is trying to win control of the castle herself, special mention goes to Godbrand, who's a gross idiot, and Isaac, who, like Hector, hates humanity and just wants to die, but unlike Hector, is not a dumbass. Fucking dumbass, you killed Dracula. Well, not really. These guys killed Dracula. My favorite part of this is during the fight between Alucard and Dracula. Dracula is clearly more powerful but chooses to die versus kill Alucard, which is just a really tragic final take on his last moments.
It's our boy, Lisa. Your greatest gift to me. And I'm killing him.
Season 3 is kind of like a postscript season. I imagine the Castlevania writers were like, look guys, we killed Dracula. That's good enough, right? And then Netflix be like, we need more. This is actually based on a plot of a real Castlevania game. Castlevania Curse of Darkness. The Sypha and Trevor stuff in the season was original though. When you're going to finish a main story and move on to another, personalized character arcs are probably the way to do it. The advantage TV has over film is that we can spend time with characters and spend time developing assets about lore and character perspective than just like 10 minutes here or there. That said, season 3 is probably the one where not as much plot happens. The world is recovering and learning the knowledge that the church pushed Dracula to extremes. Trevor and Sypha attempt to travel across the country and find some more monsters, and Alucard is left alone to test his trust issues. It's really kind of a sad season if you think about how much pain is on display with these characters.
This could not have gone more wrong. What happened?
You've spent a couple of months living your life. Adventures and victories. Now, we're living my life.
But at least them all meaning ones. Isaac is kind of a hot mess regardless. The moral of the season is that humans are gross, but at least Jacob Isaacs is always funny.
What the fuck is toilet paper?
We learn that Isaac is on the hunt to kill Hector, while Hector is also thinking it with his dick. Also, lesbian vampires. I am a fan. Go lesbian vampires. So again, a lot of Season 3 are character and lore perspectives that are challenged at the end of the day. The Satan cult is obvious and outlines a new threat that people can bring back Dracula from hell. Lenore seems like the most innocent of the 4 diva vampires, but she's a bitch at manipulation. The judge seems like he's doing his job until you learn he's a serial killer. Creepy twin friends betray Alucard just because they misunderstood his motivations. It's meant to build on the underlying principle that you can't trust anyone at face value in this world. I think this is a really smart take on a less intense season, building up that Dracula isn't the main threat. So as expected, it was pretty good. And also the animation's like super pretty. Netflix be like, take all our money. We have money because we're Netflix. We don't need it. Take it. So I'm going to give you some nitpicks about Season 4 and then tell you how great it was. Spoilers, obviously. So my 2 major points of criticism is I think the episodes could have been cut down by like 1 or 2 episodes. I get the feeling that Netflix gave them more episodes than they knew what to do with. The only new character I didn't like was Zamfir, the girl with the short hair. She was annoying and she dragged the plot down. And the reveal near the end was stupid.
You're insane. Of course I'm insane. The fuck? What now?
Again, I think they could have cut that down and cut her out of it. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna walk away from these episodes and be like, you know who my favorite character was? Zamfir. The new vampires were also kind of weak. We'll get to British vampire in disguise in a second, but the big Russian vampire who spoke in a Russian accent I think was kind of pointless. Something I really like before we get into the character breakdowns is I like the slight implications of other religions. It's very small, you might miss it. So besides Isaac's use of Muslim proverbs, which was kind of in the last season already, there's a line that Trevor has in the catacombs where he talks about Hindu vampires for like 5 seconds.
Did the vampire hunter die in India? Because Hindu vampires wouldn't have the faintest idea why he was waving a cross at them.
Actually, no. See, vampires are basically an evolved predator species, so their eyesight is pretty different to ours. Turns out that if you put a big geometric shape right up close in their field of vision, it confuses the shit out of their brains and, makes them panic.
So, because we have more episodes than we know what to do with, we have more time for character arcs. I guess Trevor and Sypha's arc is technically the most important of the arcs, where they have to stop people from bringing Dracula back from the grave, which, spoiler alert, probably wouldn't be as bad as they think it would be. Eventually, they're led back to the town by bad character Zamfir, and they're like, we should organize it. And then Zamfir's like, no. And then they're like, show us your catacombs. That's what she said.
Show me your motherboard.
Excuse me?
And Zamfir's like, no. And then that takes 2 episodes. But after that, we find out that there's actually a teleportation mirror thingy down there. And then we can go back to the castle. So the biggest character who I did not expect to have a bigger story arc in this arc is Saint Germain, who I kind of liked last season, but now I hate him because he's willing just to kill too many people to see this girl that he likes, who might be a little young for him, not gonna lie.
God is now standing right in front of you, and soon, very, very soon, he's going to have sex again.
And we made a note that even if he did get to see that girl that he wanted to bone, then she would be disgusted that he killed, 100 people to see her again and to bring her back. When will the dudes learn? Bringing back your beloved by killing hundreds of millions of people isn't sexy. So he has the biggest plan to get Dracula back, but he was actually manipulated by death. He was not actually death, but just a vampire who sucks on the dead energy and not just blood, I guess.
No, death. It's the name it took. It's like a vampire, only it feeds on whatever leaves us when we die. The family box called it an elemental spirit that disguises itself to serve power.
My favorite twist is that Isaac is actually a decent person now, and the thing we've been gunning for since season 1 is that he was gonna kill Hector, but now he learns that not all humans are bad, and Hector's still protecting Lenore even though Lenore kind of betrayed him last season was a good move, as well as Hector accepting his fate, which I think surprised Isaac. And Carmilla is cray, so yeah, she probably should have died. That fight scene, though, it was so good. We have money because we're on Netflix. I'm not surprised that Carmilla killed herself versus being killed. I was expecting it, to be honest. She's not gonna let a man kill her. She's Carmilla. She's a strong, independent woman, even though she's a little crazy and probably needs professional help, but she's still a strong, independent vampire woman lady.
You would not influence me. I am my own person. I am a strong vampire woman.
The lesbian vampires, I think, have the least to do. Their whole character arc is kind of learning that Carmilla is biting off more than she can chew, and maybe this is a bad idea. And killing farmers just because Carmilla said so is probably not, ethical. But are vampires ethical? It's debatable. I guess certain ones are.
Don't think about it too much. Just keep moving.
The day suit was pretty cool, and that battle was cool. Oh, and they didn't use a lot of music from the game, which made me sad.
Let's count the
songs
and find out.
Begin.
That's one
song.
So all in all, it was really good. It was a little slow. There's some nitpicks that I have, but the battle with Trevor and Death was really good. I was kind of convinced they'd kill off Trevor because it did take him a while to come back. I'm glad everyone gets a happy ending. Alucard deserves a happy ending. He is a good being who's just doing the best he can. They all deserve happy endings. Speaking of happy endings, the characters I didn't think would get happy endings were Dracula and Lisa. I kind of expected for them to go into why Lisa was in hell in the first place, but they did not do that. I'm just gonna assume because she married Dracula, even though he was a bad dude. That's the only thing I can think of. They never talk about it. Does Dracula deserve a happy ending? Probably not, but we were all still rooting for him anyway, because we just felt bad for him on the inside. And I want that fan fiction where they go back to meet Alucard, and there's even more closure that makes me happy, and then they get to see, maybe Alucard has little baby Alucards running around, and Lucy gets to be involved in their life, and everyone gets to be happy. Except Lenore. I was so mad. I understood why Lenore killed herself, but at the same time, she was my favorite, even though she was kind of mean to Hector. But I wasn't expecting Hector to kind of forgive her as easily as he did, but then he did. I imagine because he realized being free to roam around the castle was better than just being in the prison. Let's talk about the motherfucking T-Rex thing that shoots fire, because that was my favorite thing I've ever seen. Death was kind of obnoxious, but the fire-breathing, half T-Rex was where it was at, man.
Sacre bleu! Invaders!
Encroachers! And they are the never!
I also like the little continuity bits in there. Like when Hector and Isaac were talking, Isaac puts lime in his water. Like when he was on the ship with the captain. And when they bury Trevor, you know, metaphorically, they put him under the tree that he liked to play with when he was a child. I think Cypher and Trevor are cute, even though I love Trevor and I think he's pretty. I want him to be happy. So go watch Castlevania if you haven't yet, because it's amazing. But I'm excited to see where this spin-off thingy goes, and I want Dracula and Alucard to hug. And that's all, folks, except it's not time for the ending gag.
Passion of the Christ 2. Crucify this. You know how to use one of these?
You know how to use one of these?
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please remember to leave a comment and share this with a friend or 2 or 5. Click here to subscribe, we really appreciate it. Click here to check out the main collaborator for this video. Click here to check out our video playlist for this video, where you might find similar videos that hopefully you like and enjoy. There's also a credits scroll here, where you can check out all the other awesome contributors. All their info is in the description. That's all I gotta say, KPOA!